This is myself, Nathan and Travis from REBIRTH Holdings, and today we're going to do a little bit of a different video. We're going to cover a hot topic right now in the world news, especially in the economic news, and that is Brexit. Okay, so as you can see on the whiteboard, we've got a lot of different areas and key factors with Brexit that we'll be going into. You guys are probably watching the news. There's been a lot of Brexit talk happening recently.
That's it, my man. It's literally, let's take it way back. So, obviously, Brexit's a hot topic right now, but it all started, ideally, when we decided to vote to leave the European Union in 2016. So, it was 2 years, or 2.5 years now, flew past in all fairness. But obviously, in November, as it stands right now, it's a hot topic again. We'll break into reasons why in a moment, but literally just wanted to stem it back to what Brexit was actually all about. In regards to Brexit itself, it was taking ourselves out of the European Union for certain reasons which have their pros and have their cons.
I don't know about you, Travis, but I'll be honest with you guys. For one, I didn't vote on the referendum, and the reason of that because I wasn't 100% sure of what reasons there was any kind of implications to myself in my current situation or future as a business and business owner. So at the time, I'll be honest with you guys, I didn't vote and I didn't really know why. I'm sure a lot of you are in the same boat as me, not really knowing what the implications were. Did you vote?
I actually did, Nate. So in all fairness, I voted to stay. As you can see, guys, we had 48% of us that decided to remain, but actually quite tight in all fairness. 52% of us decided to leave. So for myself personally, I was just thinking of the economic impacts it can have in regards to trade, business. Obviously, I wanted to be in more of an independent business for myself personally, which may have involved a lot of EU exporting, things like that. So that's why, just for myself personally, I decided to leave. Okay. But literally, guys, in 2016, so we're at the point where we're leaving the European Union, guys. What's the positive of that? Straight away, we no longer will be paying the EU £13 billion a year. So about £300 million a week, guys. That's the fee you had to pay to have certain legislations and have the benefits of being within the EU.
And watching the news, watching it, what would you call it today? Teresa addressed the House of Commons today, and she was saying that this figure here would actually get redirected into the NHS. And as a personal trainer, and in my life, I've come across a lot of people that work for the NHS, and a lot of them do seem like they could do with this extra 300 million a week. Let's think about it. We all need the NHS, unless you're with Bupa. You need the NHS, so that's what they're looking to do with that 13 billion being collected back as the ongoing subscription was paying to EU.
That's it, man. So literally, guys, that could have been one key factor to reasons why we wanted to leave the EU. As you can imagine, so many different opinions, so many different matters that all people have to take into consideration. One within the West Midlands, which was I think if not the heaviest leaving area or borough in the United Kingdom. I had a lot of personal conversations with individuals, and obviously demographic control was also another big one in regards to obviously getting money back for the NHS, but demographic control. So when we say that, it's immigration. Obviously, I have a lot of European friends. I know a lot of European individuals within the West Midlands, myself personally. So this was a factor that has pros and cons to certain individuals. Just break it down, leaving the EU, guys. People may feel that it has a benefit for immigration, where there's more control of who comes into the country and the purpose for what they're involved in our country itself.
Yeah. So as everyone knows, for years it's just been a really hot topic in terms of UK border control, and a lot of people weren't happy with the free movement that happened within the last, say, last decade. Yeah. So that's a big factor with this, and this is one of the main things that Teresa made, stressing that now we're going to have control over our borders. One of the kind of spanners in the works, so to say, at the moment is the single trade market. So right now, we're part of the European Union, so that means we all operate with the same trade boundaries and restrictions based on everyone in the European Union. If we was to leave the European Union, which we are due to, we would have to trade with the market as an independent, separate, I don't know what they call it, but basically as a country that's not part of the European Union, which obviously comes with more fees than people within the European Union. So this is something that has got a lot of people fearful of, and a lot of people doubting whether this whole deal will work out as a positive for the UK.
There you go. Straight away, that's where we've got the tick and the cross. It can be seen as we've got one rule for all. So obviously there's 28 countries, including that South in the EU right now. So you can imagine between 28 countries at bare minimum, we've got a nice, obviously, trade relation with these guys. Once we're moving ourselves out of this single trade market, that rule is no longer ours. Theresa's obviously actually trying to get to some sort of agreement where we would, once leaving the EU, we have more, less restrictions, I should say, compared to other aspects of other countries within the world that aren't in the EU. So, like, for example, the Norways, Japan, Canada. So we're actually looking to get a deal that is actually better for us leaving the EU with a bit more perks to single trade market that obviously we're leaving ourselves currently. So literally, guys, being a single trader in regards to the economic, obviously, state of the world, it gives us options to more partnerships within the world. So literally, being within that EU restrictions, we couldn't really go and negotiate for ourselves solely. It was a case of the European Union taking into consideration our thoughts and opinions and collectively seeing if it was better in or greater in the EU itself. So this will obviously, as you know from saying to myself earlier, obviously create benefit partnerships with specific regions and whatnot.
What we're trying to do here in the UK is give ourselves the control of our borders, the control of our finances, and the control of who we do business with. So the single trade market is what we're involved in right now, being a part of the EU. What we want to do is have access to the single trade market, but also have the opportunity to open up extra partnerships with countries like Japan, Canada, New Zealand, and other countries in the Pacific. So at the moment, like I said, in the single trade market, but we want to basically open up the opportunity to do business with the European Union, but also countries outside the European Union as well, which I think is a good thing. And yeah, I do think that's a good thing. More opportunities, more possibilities.
So what is the consequences of leaving the EU within a short to long term period? When we say short term, between now and the next 5 years, there's one massive issue that obviously Theresa and the UK is going to have to tackle. Nathan, can you point it out for me, please? Bang, there we go. So £39 billion is what the UK would have to pay the European Union for the so-called divorce fee. Okay? Well, literally straight away, we're just trying to say, okay, in the long term, we could perhaps be saving money each and every week, that £300 million going back into things like NHS and stuff and whatnot. Perhaps after, or whilst, obviously clawing back a deficit of having to pay £39 billion. This, just to take into consideration, is seen as a negative in the UK Parliament right now. But just to confirm, whilst within Theresa May's talks with the EU Parliament, that figure was actually doubled. So it actually was 80 billion. So with her hard work, she's managed to claw it down by 50%. But that's one major issue as well that the UK is going to have to tackle.
So guys, as Forex traders, and yourselves as Forex traders, you may be thinking to yourself, how does this relate to me personally on my charts as a Forex trader? If we go into our time machine and go back to 2016, when the initial Brexit vote was put to the people, on which we voted 52% to leave, this is what happened in the Forex market, a 2,000 pip move.
That's correct, guys. So literally on the 23rd of June, when it was announced that 52% was left or want to leave the European Union, I think within 2 4-hour candles, so within an 8-hour period, we had a 2,000 pip move in a direction. So when we say direction to the upside or to the downside, this happened and impacted pairs that had either the GDP involved or the euro, so the likes of GJ, the pound against the dollar, the pound against the Swiss franc, euro against the pound, etc. So heavy volatility, guys.
To put that in perspective for you new traders, this announcement practically helped move the market 20 days worth of price action. For us to see 2,000 pip moves in one direction, we probably have to wait almost a whole month.
That's correct.
One announcement pushed it and it made it happen in a 4-hour period. So that just puts it into perspective of how much of a big impact that this announcement had on the FX market.
There you go. So when we talk about fundamentals and obviously our trading technique, we do recommend 90% of Forex is technical analysis, but with something such as big as Brexit, guys, one of the biggest decisions us in the UK probably had to make in perhaps our lifetime, such a heavy fundamental would impact such volatility. So guys, it's made it all sound obviously hunky-dory. You may be feeling like, okay, when the next sort of, if we've agreed a deal, things like that, you will be looking to scoop in 1,000, 2,000 pip entries. Just to take note, guys, with such a bearish or bullish momentum, aspects such as volatility is something you need to take into consideration. When I say that, manipulation spikes, so let's just say on average, you do expect 100 to 200 pound max, 100 to 200 pip movement in the markets on a daily basis on like a major pair. Also, before a pair was to drop in that one direction, you may see a bit of manipulation spikes from obviously central banks or hedge funds, things like that, to look to wipe out obviously rookie traders. So as you can imagine, it tends to go 20, maybe 30 pips to the upside before having obviously going in the direction you expected. With such a massive pip movement, guys, we were seeing 200 to 300 manipulation spikes in the opposite direction before movement actually took place. What's the implications of this? So implications could be a case of stop losses getting wiped out, accounts getting completely wiped out, and not being able to actually physically trade the market.
So we advise, if you are trading big fundamental news releases, take care of 3 things. 1, your entry. Make sure you're entering at the after any manipulation spikes or having an order, sell stop, buy stop, they're in place. 2, stop loss. Having a stop loss is very important, but I'll take it one step deeper and say a guaranteed stop loss, as a huge spike could happen within 2 minutes, too fast for your broker to react and take out more of your capital than you was expecting.
Simple as that, guys. So it all comes down to Brexit, getting the right deal or simply getting no deal. In all hindsight, I reckon the UK Parliament won't want to edge towards no deal. One thing going against obviously the UK majority of wanting to leave, and obviously the UK not being able to deliver that for the people. So I highly doubt, you never know, that could come into place. But if there was a deal that's going to be in place, it needs to be the right deal for the longevity of the country, I should say.
Could call it a company. We just want to make money, and that's what I believe. That I don't think that we will get a right deal if it's not mutually beneficial for both parties. When I say both parties, I mean the European Union, they're getting a nice chunk from us, and also maybe other fees underneath the table or ones that we just don't know about right now. And 2, the UK benefited from having a closed border, more stronger contingencies who we let into the country, and also opportunities to put money into the NHS and have business partnerships all around the world. So it's going to be this weekend, this Sunday, House of Commons will vote whether they're going to back Theresa May and pushing this deal. And I think the final vote is actually 29th of March 2019. That will be the final meaningful vote to see if we leave the European Union by January 2021.
That's it, guys. So simply, we just wanted to show you how fundamentals, something such as big as Brexit in the UK, can impact our trading styles, and it can to an extent. So literally, guys, just breaking it and leaving it there, guys. Be careful trading Brexit, but there's a lot of opportunities in the market. So Nathan, for myself, we'll see you soon and see you next time.